there, everybody. This is Ellen Weatherford.
And Christian Weatherford.
And this is Just the Zoo of Us, your favorite animal review podcast, where we rate your favorite animals out of 10 in the categories of effectiveness, ingenuity, and aesthetics.
We are not zoological experts, but we try our best to bring the most interesting and factually correct information we can.
That's right. I haven't had a chance to talk about my San Diego trip on this podcast yet, have I? I don't think I have.
I don't think so.
I went to San Diego to see the zoo.
Yes.
The zoo invited me, and I got a fancy media badge. So I got to go in and go see the new Elephant Valley exhibit, which will be opening, I believe, in May.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go in and see it a little bit ahead of time. Beautiful, huge exhibit, massive, like huge area. There's like a walkway where like the elephants can walk underneath the like pedestrian walkway.
Yeah.
So like the elephants can like walk underneath you. It's really, really cool. We got to watch them walk underneath us, which was very awesome.
I was about to say that's an angle of an elephant most don't get.
Yeah, you don't normally see them from like straight above, right? Yeah, beautiful. They had, I think, 8 elephants. Gorgeous building. Like there's like a big like building where they have like a restaurant and like an eating area in there. Mm-hmm. That's very fancy too. I met Marco Wendt, who was a guest on this podcast a few weeks ago. He's a keeper at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, and he had a million things to tell me about that. He's like one of my favorite people to talk to. He's so cool, and he told us a million things about the exhibit and about the zoo. And I got to meet a lot of really cool people who have been guests on the podcast in the past, other big creators. I got to meet like Lindsay Nicole and Patch from Tier Zoo.
Nice. And
Maya Higa and Sarah Suda from Bizarre Beasts, and, you know, a bunch of other really, really cool. Alice Vasallo, of course, a friend of mine. And it was just really, really cool group of people who I had a really cool time getting to explore this new zoo exhibit. I'd never been to San Diego.
Right.
I'd never been to the San Diego Zoo. We like cite them all the time. I got to see animals I've never seen in any other zoo before. I saw a platypus at the safari park, which is the only platypus in a zoo outside of Australia. They have, I think, 2 or 3 platypuses, and I got to see one. Mm-hmm. I got to see Tasmanian devil. I got to see pygmy hippo. I got to see a panda. I got to see just all sorts of really, really cool stuff. That was it was definitely, you know, I flew down to San Diego from Seattle to see it, and I think it was worth the trip, and I definitely will be back. You know what surprised me, though? That was my favorite part. I think the thing I was most impressed by was the leafcutter ant exhibit.
Yes.
I have been talking nonstop about this leafcutter ant exhibit. It is so cool. It's like an actual living tree that like they have this colony of leafcutter ants that just, you can watch them climbing up.
Did they have any part of the exhibit that let you see inside what they're doing with all the leaves and
yes.
stuff? Okay.
Yeah. There was like, you could go inside the building and look through like glass to see inside the colony. It was so cool. I really loved it. I loved the bugs. There were so many cool bugs. There was axolotls. There was like, it was so nice. And I only had like 4 hours there, I think, because I had to catch my flight back at the zoo proper. Yeah. Because there's 2 different facilities. There's a safari park in Escondido, and then there's the zoo downtown in San Diego. I only had like 4 hours at the zoo in San Diego, and there were things I had to skip because I was like, okay, I can see these, you know, back home. I can like, you know, like I skipped a lot of the Arctic stuff because the Point Defiance Zoo has a really good Arctic exhibit, and I was like, I can see a lot of the stuff back in Tacoma, like, so I skipped a lot, but what I did see, I was very impressed by.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. So huge thank you to San Diego Zoo for having me out. That was really exciting. I'd wanted to go there pretty much my whole life. So to finally get to go there and like be there like as a guest, like as an invited guest was like, it was really special. It's very, very cool. But enough about that. It's time for this week's episode.
Yes.
This week, I'll be talking about Norway Lemmings.
The little guys.
The little guys.
Okay.
What do you know about lemmings?
Are these the guys that...
Go for it. Let's see what's in there.
The jumping off the cliff thing?
I'm so glad you asked.
Okay.
I am going to be breaking format this week.
Okay.
I'm not going to be doing our normal ratings format. Instead of a rating review, I'm going to be doing a review of the facts. It's going to be a myth-busting episode.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with fact, and then I will go into fiction, because basically everything anyone has ever thought about lemmings has been wrong.
Okay.
At every step of the way, we have been collectively as a species wrong about lemmings in like every possible way. So there's going to be a lengthy section about that. But I'm going to talk about facts first.
Okay.
So I'm going to do real stuff first. And then I'm going to do some debunking, some myth busting, some storytelling. Because some of the stories behind the history of what we know and think about lemmings is bizarre. It is frankly insane. So there's some fun. History nerds are going to love this one because there's a lot of history in this.
Cool.
But first, the actual real stuff about lemmings. Their scientific name is Lemmus lemmus. Mm-hmm. This species was submitted by Ren Wallenbeck. Thank you, Ren. I mean, if there was a scoreboard of like number of requests that someone has sent in that have translated to me immediately being like, I got to talk about that right away, it's Ren. Ren is putting up numbers. Thank you, Ren. Because in a previous episode, like lemmings came up in an offhanded way. I think it was about snowy owls because they eat a lot of lemmings. And I was like, now I could talk all day about lemmings. And Ren emailed and was like, how about you talk about lemmings? And I was like, don't mind if I do. I'm getting my information from a bunch of papers and articles that will be cited in the episode description. It's all over the place because there's a lot of twists and turns in this one, you guys. I went to so many places with this. I'm very excited to share with you. So my information is from papers and articles, but my misinformation is largely from the Walt Disney Company.
Whoa.
I'm putting them on blast. It's a doozy. It's a big one. So lemmings, if you've never met one, they're up to about 6 inches long. They are a rodent, by the way. They're up to about 6 inches long, which is about the size of a large hamster.
Does this include a long rodent tail?
They don't have a long rodent tail.
Okay.
They are giving hamster. It is like a hamster, basically.
Okay.
Short tail, they could fit in your hand. Like, you could easily hold them in one. You could not easily hold them in one hand because they would bite you very hard, but...
Just like hamsters.
Just like hamsters. This species of lemming is found in Scandinavia, particularly Norway, hence the name, the Norway lemming or Norwegian lemming.
So not the only lemming.
Not the only lemming. No, there's, I think, 4 different species of lemmings.
Okay.
But this one is quite different from the other ones. It's noticeably different. So when you look at it, they have very bold, like, patterned colors on them. They're like tricolor almost. They're like black and yellow and white. So you can tell the difference. It is easy to tell that you're looking at a Norway lemming. They are most closely related to voles and muskrats, and a study that was published in June of 2025 suggests that the Norway lemming actually split from its closest relative, which is the West Siberian lemming, only about 35,000 years ago.
Wow, that's very recent on that kind of scale.
Right, like that sounds like a long time ago until you realize that like at the evolutionary time scale, that's like yesterday, basically.
Right.
So for a little bit of perspective, actually, I wanted to put this into like scale a little bit. A statue of a man with a lion's head that was carved into mammoth ivory was found in a cave in Germany. And that statue dates back to around 35 to 40,000 years ago. Oh. So art made with a tool by humans was already going on when this lemming like split off into its own species.
Sure.
They're an extremely young species. But there are some very, very major differences between the Norway lemmings and their cousins. Like visually and behaviorally, very, very different from the other types of lemmings. So they like hit fast forward on evolution. They're like, we gotta go. Adapt. We gotta get out of here.
I'm sure the rodent breeding cycle helps with that.
Right, yeah, they're cranking them out, right? Rodents famously are just kind of quantity over quality. I want to talk about something that kind of startled me to come across in doing my notes for this, but it's a word you're familiar with, aposematism. Do you remember what this word means?
I don't.
It's a fancy word. It comes up a lot when we're talking about things like snakes and frogs and I think poison dart frogs and coral snakes and monarch butterflies, and think about like what those bright, bold, contrasting colors often mean. Oh,
I see. So it's supposed to be a visual indicator of danger.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a warning signal, right? It's like, don't mess with me.
Sure.
Something bad will happen to you. And usually we use the word aposematism when we're talking about toxins, right? Like all the examples I just gave you, and every example that comes to mind when we think of aposematic coloration is because an animal is either poisonous or venomous, right?
Wait, how'd the monarch butterfly get in there?
They're poisonous.
What?
Did you not know that?
No.
Yeah, they're poisonous.
Huh.
I mean, like, don't eat them.
I mean, I wasn't, but...
Not until you said that.
I'll show you.
Yeah, they're poisonous.
I guess I have to be careful when I'm getting a craving for an orange butterfly.
Yeah, you got to watch out for that. I'm always telling you this. Every time you reach for a brightly colored butterfly, and I'm like, hold on, put that down. Maybe have an orange instead.
What's in your mouth?
Yeah, spit it out, spit it out. And then you start running away really fast. So usually we talk about this when we're talking about an animal that is like poisonous or venomous, but aposematism isn't specific to toxicity. It can just be a general warning that this animal is, the word they use is defended. Like it has some sort of defense in place. Like if you attack me, there will be a consequence. Something will happen to you as a result of attacking me. So basically advertising that attacking them is risky. So in the lemmings case, their fur, like I mentioned, it's very different, not just from other lemmings, but from other rodents. I mean, I can't really think of hardly any other rodent species that has these sort of like bold black, white, and yellow markings on them that are like, and like on the back, it's sort of like a T-shaped, very thick, broad bands that like, it is noticeable. Other than like, I was thinking like what other rodent kind of looks like that, and I was thinking guinea pigs, but they've certainly been like bred to look like that. So I don't think they look like that in the wild. Yeah, it's very different, not just from other lemmings, but from other rodents in general. Most rodents tend to be kind of a more like subtle brown or gray to like really blend in. But the Norway lemmings are kind of wearing statement pieces, right? They've kind of got high vis on. They're like, hey, look, it's me, a lemming right here. And in a study that was testing the lemmings' coloration as camouflage to see if maybe this was like high contrast camouflage, right? Maybe they're supposed to blend in with like in the fall, maybe like when the leaves are yellow, maybe they're supposed to blend in with that. But then that camouflage would only work for like a small fraction of the year. And the rest of the time they would be like really standing out from the vegetation. And so in this study, the lemmings were shown to be much easier to spot than voles, suggesting that the coloration is not camouflage. And I want to read from this study because it made me laugh. In this study, the author writes, I placed dead rodents, snap-trapped for other purposes. Interesting. I was doing other stuff with these rodents. Snap-trapped for other purposes and stored cool, therefore without strong odors. On the ground at random within 3 meters of a 200-meter path, belly down and in as natural a position as possible. Each of 18 observers, in parentheses, biology students, walked the path alone, and they were instructed to walk at a slow, even pace and look for and find as many as possible of 30 lemmings and 40 voles, numbers unknown to the observers, and record their species identity in a provided protocol. So they were really applying like how many lemmings can you spot? Okay. Which I was like, man, it's a good thing you weren't in this study because you would have really skewed the data. You spot these things immediately. I don't know how you do it. It makes me so mad.
Pattern recognition, I guess.
I guess. Every time we're like at a zoo or something, I could stand there staring at an enclosure for like 10 minutes, see nothing, and then you walk up behind me and in like 5 seconds, you're like, oh, it's right there. I don't know how you do it.
Well, zoos, I feel like, are easier because
for you,
because the animals all hide in the same places, you know.
For you, I guess. Maybe it's hunter brain. I don't know. Maybe I have gatherer brain. I don't know what it is.
't There's a tasty gecko under that log. I know it.
Spit that out. Spit that out. What's in your mouth?
Where does tail go?
So the idea here is that the lemmings stand out a lot more. They're more conspicuous, right? So the idea is why? Why would a tiny little rodent want to stick out like a sore thumb and be very, very obvious? And the hypothesis is that this acts as aposematism, so warning predators of a defense. So in the case of lemmings, their defense is these hands. Norway lemmings are notoriously aggressive. Okay. So when they see a predator coming for them, instead of doing what other rodents do, like scurry away, try to hide, take the flight response, lemmings are fight response.
Okay.
They're walking them down. They turn around, make eye contact, first of all, and scream as loud as their little lungs will go. They will just like screech at you. And if you continue to approach them, they will fight with their entire lives.
Okay.
They will lunge. They will bite as hard as they can. Like they will, it's like this just explosive rage from this tiny, tiny little rodent.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen them do this or
No.
seen a video of them doing this? They are the feistiest, meanest little guys, which really lines up with my experience with hamsters also. I know hamsters and lemmings are not the same thing, but like I got bit by hamsters more than anything else in the entire store.
Right, yeah.
So they might not be venomous, but they are toxic in their own way, just sort of
see.
personality-wise. And the paper kind of points out that one function of aposematism is distinction, so making them look obviously unique and different from other similar species. So this could kind of be the lemming's way of broadcasting, hey, I'm the mean one. You don't want none of this. You're picking the wrong one if you're coming to me. Like, it is not going to be easy. I'm going to put up a fight. I'm not trying to run and hide.
It makes sense why owls don't care about this. Because by the time the lemming nose is there, it's already too late.
Yeah, that's true. You are already dead, for sure. Yeah, because the owl has the benefit of stealth, right?
Yeah.
That they can sneak up on it and not get completely, like, torn to shreds by this little angry lemming.
Oh no, a ghost is squaring up to me.
So while they are tiny and they actually aren't necessarily armed with any particular defense mechanisms, right? Like they don't have poison.
Yeah.
They don't have venom. They don't have armored flesh or something like that. They're not spiky. Like they don't have any actual like defense mechanisms, but behaviorally, they're going to make it such a pain for you to try to eat them.
Yeah.
That you would just be better off picking something else. They're going to make it hard for you. They might hurt you in the process.
Sure.
Like you might as well just go pick an easier target because this one is going to be a pain.
Yeah.
And you might as well. You know, it's kind of like the idea of like keeping your car door locked because like it doesn't have to be perfect, but it just has to make it harder to get into than the other cars.
And that's already a consideration for snakes, like with normal rodents like feeder mice and rats. Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean?
So, at least in my brief stint as having a pet snake, one thing against live feeding was the chance for the snake to be injured by the mouse.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because like if the prey is fighting back, even if they're not going to kill the predator, they might incur an injury that like would eventually lead to the death of the predator.
Yeah.
Right? They might injure its face, injure its eyes, injure its mouth, or something like that.
And I felt, if you don't know, a reptile or exotic vet is expensive.
It's extremely expensive, you guys. So much, however expensive you think it is more than that. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the strategy of lemmings is that like, you know what? I am small. I don't have that many tools in my belt, but I can be mean. Mm-hmm. I can be very obnoxious. And then, you know, if the predator has the choice between you and the vole next to you, they're going to go for the vole next to you instead because they know you're going to be annoying. So sometimes the lesson here, sometimes being annoying really pays off. Now, the next important thing to know about lemmings going into the next section, because it's going to inform a lot of the things that people think about lemmings, is that their populations are extremely, I don't see this word used anywhere else, but this is kind of how I describe it. I describe them as being bouncy. So like in 1 year, you'll have millions of them, right? There will be like, you can't turn around without seeing lemmings. They're everywhere. They're all over the place. And then the next year, there's none. You can hardly find them if you look for them. So every 3 or 4 years, there will be what's called a lemming year, which is a year where lemming populations boom. You will not know peace from the lemmings. This is like extremely annoying to like farmers and stuff who live in the area because like there's literally lemmings, like you have to like watch your step outside because the lemmings are just everywhere. That's an exaggeration, but like, you know, it's a lot of lemmings. And then just as quickly as they appear, they're gone. The population plummets. And in fact, during peak years, they eat so much, and there's so many of them, that the effect on the vegetation coverage of the landscape is visible from space.
Wow.
So like satellite images in like not even that high resolution will show like changes to the vegetation coverage of like Norway from a lemming year. Like you can see it in space.
So what's happening here is what? They're just exhausting their resources, having a die off, and then it takes around 4 years to come back from it.
Well, yeah. So basically, when they have this population boom, not only are they exhausting all the vegetation because everyone's eating, but also there's so many of them that also causes a population boom among their predators.
Oh.
So then the next year, there's so many of their predators that they eat up all the lemmings. And then there's not as many lemmings the next year.
But it's interesting that it's never a big enough die-off to, like, do them in. It leaves them enough to come back.
That's what I mean by bouncy. Like, it's a bouncy sort of, like, population. So they can get down to, like, near extinction numbers.
Yeah.
And then be able to, explode in growth again the next day. I'm imagining, like, a bouncy ball, right? That's, like, going all the way down to the floor and then boinging back up.
Which, again, I guess that's only because of the rodent, like, breeding.
They're really
cycle.
good at it. I mean, that's the thing they're good at, right? Cranking out babies. And it seems to be working out really well for them. Okay, so now that you have the groundwork of the true things about lemmings, right?
Okay.
They're really, really mean. And sometimes there's very many of them, and sometimes there's not very many at all.
Okay.
Those are the important things that you'll need to know going into the next section. Fiction. We've done fact. Now we're doing fiction. Let's talk about some of the myths about lemmings. But before we do that, let's hear from a couple of our friends on the Maximum Fun Network. Well, and then we'll bust some myths.
Sleep is important, but it's difficult sometimes. I'm John Moe. On Sleeping with Celebrities, famous people help conk you out by talking in soothing voices about unimportant things. Maria Bamford on parking.
I parked in a bus stop. That's just not right. I am not a bus.
Roxanne Gay on airports.
My favorite airport is Indianapolis. It has a really smart layout.
Alan Tudyk on yardsticks.
You hand somebody a yardstick, yardsticks become part of the family.
Granted, it's a weird idea, but it's lots of fun, and it works. Listen wherever you get podcasts.
Hey, it's Sue the subway train. Hey, guess what, Sue? I just inherited a game show, and I have to continue it because there are people out there who like to curl up into a ball and listen to it. Yeah, it's a podcast where listeners submit game show ideas for others to play on air. Well, it is. In fact, the dumber the better. Right. It's called Dr. Game Show. Some curled up balls consider it a tradition, while others call it a train wreck. No, not you, Sue. It's Dr. Game Show. If you're the sort that likes to listen to people competing for refrigerator magnets, then curl up into a ball and listen to Dr. Game Show every other Wednesday, MaximumFun.org.
Being wrong about lemmings is a time-honored tradition that goes all the way back. We have so seldom been right about lemmings. And just even having like a comprehensive understanding of what lemmings are as an animal is like a relatively recent development in like human understanding. So during the 16th century, scientists thought that lemmings literally spawned into existence in the sky.
In the sky?
In the sky.
Why?
So the idea was that the reason that like there's none and then all of a sudden there's very many of them is that they must be falling to the ground during storms. So like when a winter storm comes in, the lemmings must be falling to the ground from the sky, which I think was kind of like inherited from like folklore. There was some like folklore about lemmings falling to the ground from the sky.
Okay.
But this was like what leading scientists wrote, that like obviously they're falling from the sky, clearly. And the idea being that like they're just like spontaneously generate in the sky. They're not born on the earth. Because remember, spontaneous generation was like a thing people thought then. They thought that animals and life just like appeared sometimes, right? So it sounds kind of far-fetched to us now, but like keep in mind that during this time they also thought that like geese grew on trees. So like it's really not that far of a leap from some of the other wild stuff they thought at the time.
I'm just so curious why they landed on coming from the sky versus, I don't know,
the ground?
Like the ground.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, I think it's because, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but the boom years tend to happen after a particularly cold winter.
Okay.
So the idea was like, if they would be coming out of the ground, then they would be coming out of the ground regularly, like all the time. But it seemed like the boom years were happening after these like particularly cold times. So then I guess the association was just like, oh, they must be falling out of the sky. Anyway, in the 1600s, so in the 17th century, we finally get the paradigm shifting, earth shattering discovery that lemmings are animals born on Earth. Big news. Huge discovery. And this comes to us from the brilliant mind of a man that I would like to tell you about named Ole Worm.
Is that one word?
Ole, O-L-E.
Yeah.
Perhaps Ole or Ola, maybe? He's Danish, so maybe it's Ola. But I'm going to say Ole.
Okay.
First name Ole, last name Worm.
Oh, okay.
Worm. W-O-R-M.
Oh.
Worm.
I was half expecting
like a dragon?
Yeah.
That would have been a million times cooler. No, instead we got Ole Worm.
Okay.
I would like to take you on a brief tangent because somehow his name is the least interesting thing about him. Ole Worm is probably one of my favorite people in all of human history. I'm obsessed with this man. Ole Worm was born in Denmark in 1588. He got a fat inheritance from his mayor dad and used that inheritance to study medicine all over Europe before he returned to Copenhagen, where he practiced medicine and became a professor of medicine and natural philosophy. Right at the time, you could just like study whatever. You could just like be a professor of everything. And he also, during his time as a medical researcher, got a skull abnormality named after him. Which that's a real legacy.
For one which he had or one he like identified?
He identified.
Okay.
They're called Wormian bones. And basically it's what happens where the skull, you know how like your skull has like seams in it? There's like sutures in your skull. Sometimes the skull is like more fractured than it's supposed to be, and there's like more extra pieces. It's like more fragmented than it should be because there shouldn't be that many seams.
Right.
But sometimes there's like extra fragments, and those are called Wormian bones. And he was like the first person who wrote about them.
I feel like I saw an Instagram reel about this from a bone museum.
Probably.
It's in I want to say New York.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, probably. But yeah, they're named after Ole Worm. What a legacy to have a skull abnormality named after you. So Ole Worm, the reason I love him is because he was kind of the OG fact checker, because like a lot of his professional career involved debunking misconceptions about animals. In addition to being the first person to provide an actual detailed anatomical analysis of lemmings that just proved that they were just regular rodents, right? He was, I guess, the first person who thought to like check, like take a lemming and like dissect it and look inside. Oh. I guess he's the first one that thought to do that.
Okay.
And he opened it up and he was like, oh, hey, check it out. It's like regular rodent in there.
All right.
Yeah. I guess they're animals. Who would have thought? Who knows what they would have expected to find? If it's not an animal, like you open it up, what's in there? Jelly beans or something? What are you doing?
It's full of humors.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's all phlegm in here. So in addition to that, he also, you're gonna love this, was the one who examined unicorn horns, which were sold by Scandinavian traders, and he revealed that they were actually just narwhal tusks.
Okay.
Which we talked about in the narwhal episode. Yeah. If anyone wants to hear more about that, go back there. But he did also, because a lot of the reason that traders were selling these narwhal tusks as unicorn horns was because they said they had magic powers, right?
Money.
Well, yes, but like the selling point of the unicorn horn was that they had magic powers, right? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do you know what one of the things unicorn horn was supposed to do for you was?
It's usually one of two things.
What's that?
Longevity.
In a way.
Or, I don't know if I can say it on this podcast. But
no, probably not.
Some other thing.
Yeah, some other thing. So in this case, unicorn horns were said to have this magical property of neutralizing poison.
Okay.
So the idea was that if you were like a king or someone who might be the target of a poisoning, you would just add unicorn horn or like, I don't know, stir your drink with a unicorn horn or like ground it into a powder and put that in whatever you were eating, and that would neutralize the poison and keep you from getting killed with poison.
Yeah, yeah.
And Ole Worm was like, well, I mean, Gotta check that too. It's a claim. I'm gonna test it out. I'm gonna see. Like, we know they're not unicorn horns, but they keep saying they're gonna neutralize poison. So let's check.
Okay.
So he poisoned his pets.
Oh.
And fed them ground up narwhal tusk.
Okay.
Now none of the pets died. They were all okay. But that seems to be because he seemed like he kind of chickened out a little bit on poisoning them. He held back a little bit. He wasn't confident, and he didn't poison them very much.
Also, are you telling me he didn't have a control group in his pets?
This was pre-control group. I'm sorry. He hadn't invented control groups yet.
It's like, sorry, Rocco, you're going to be the one that doesn't get any unicorn horn.
Yeah, I cannot emphasize enough how much at this time scientists were just doing whatever. They were just goofing. It was just it was so the Wild West at the time. They were just doing whatever. It did not matter. Control groups had double blind, never heard of it.
What kind of poison are we working with here?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I mean, pick one. Pick your poison. I don't know what. Nightshade, probably. It seemed like something they used a lot in those times.
Yeah.
He also... Oh, go ahead.
Just tomatoes.
It's just tomatoes? That's what he thought. The poison didn't work. It's just tomatoes. He also made detailed illustrations of birds of paradise to prove that they did, in fact, have feet, which was not known at the time.
What?
People thought they didn't have feet.
Why?
Because I guess when they're sitting on a branch, you can't see their feet very well. You can't see them, so they must not have any. I think like the feathers kind of cover up their feet, so people just thought they didn't have any feet.
I wonder if this was also based on how people drew them.
I mean, it took this guy to sit down and be like, all right, let me actually check. It's this like medieval.
It was so easy being a scientist.
I was about to say like medieval science is like at toddler, like object permanence levels of like understanding at this point. Like if I can't physically see it, it doesn't exist.
All right.
Like just no concept of things of like you just not being able to see something. So they're like, oh, well, they just don't have any feet. So it took Ole Worm to finally, a hero of science, proving that birds have feet.
Okay.
He also kept a great auk as a pet. Do you know what an auk is?
It's a bird.
It is a bird. Was a bird.
That's all I got.
It was a bird.
Oh, okay.
They went extinct during the 19th century, which is actually like a couple hundred years later. But an illustration of Ole Worm's pet auk is now, even still, the only known picture of a great auk drawn from life. As in, like, illustrated while looking at the actual living animal, not just like drawn later from memory or like from a taxidermied species. It's the only known illustration of one looking at the actual live animal. And it is a good illustration. It's very accurate, especially for like a medieval like drawing, because you know they were just doing whatever.
This guy has a lot of pets.
Oh, I'm about to tell you about another pet he had. He thought he had a pet coatimundi. It was a raccoon. But to him, that was his coatimundi. Because remember, he lives in Denmark, and this is what the 1600s, and so there wasn't a lot of like, you know, going back and forth between Europe and America at the time. So, and raccoons weren't in Europe, so he just thought it was a coatimundi, and he took that. He kept that in his heart his whole life long.
Oh.
He really thought although I guess to him, a raccoon and a coatimundi would be like equally sort of like exotic and distant. You know what I mean? Like, what would it matter? Like, oh, it's just this different thing that also lives thousands of miles away.
Right. Huh.
So he had his pet little raccoon that he thought was a coatimundi.
Dang.
Listen, I see the resemblance. They're closely related. It's fine. Close enough, dude. Let him think he has a coatimundi. Who cares? It's like those like dudes who swear they have a wolf hybrid. I'm like, that's a husky. That is just a husky. That's a German Shepherd, bro. What are you talking about?
Getting thylacine sightings.
Yes.
That is a dingo.
Yeah. Sir, that is just a cat. That's a cat from outside. So the thing he's best known for is basically his weird stuff collection. He collected all sorts of things. He collected animal specimens, bones, pieces of wood, rocks, sculptures, artifacts. This dude was like a hoarder for sure, but like an eccentric steampunk hoarder, basically. Like a hoarder in like a cool way. He's like a goblin core maximalist. Like just so much. He kept so much, and it would be stuff that he just like thought was cool. Like he didn't even know what it was. He'd be like, looks neat, put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
Like the like organization system was also like absolutely wild. He would have like an area that was basically just like wavy things. They would have like, you know, an antler and like a seashell and like a rock or like a stick off the ground or something. It was like, okay, all right. Vibe-based taxonomy. He kept all these things in a cabinet of curiosities called the Museum Wormanium? Museum Wormanium is how I'm going to say it. And some of the original pieces from his collection are still on display today at the Natural History Museum of Denmark. Oh. So, gone but never forgotten. Pour one out. Gotta be one of my favorite guys.
Sure.
Love this guy. Love Ole Worm. Thank you for really setting the record straight on things being animals and having feet. Love that for you.
So his main connection here was just confirming insides of this animal.
Yes, establishing that they're animals
okay.
from the earth.
Okay.
That they're born on our planet.
Okay. Gotta start somewhere. All right.
That's how low the bar is at this point for our understanding of lemmings. So now we fast forward to 1877. An article is published in Popular Science, which is titled The Norwegian Lemming and Its Migrations. And this describes lemmings attempting to migrate across the Atlantic Ocean in droves. Not just the Atlantic Ocean. They go off into like other bodies of water, like into like the Arctic Ocean or into like a big lake nearby or something. But the idea is that they are like driven by instinct to migrate across these large bodies of water, and then they just swim straight off the coast. They can't swim that far and then they drown. So the author suggests that they're driven by instinct to migrate to a land where they used to live that must now be submerged beneath the ocean.
No.
For example, such as... What do you think it is?
Atlantis.
It's Atlantis! Animals, yes. Atlantis, also yes.
There is no way that their list of ideas had this at the top. It had anything else on that list.
Well, not suggested as where the lemmings were trying to go, but there was also a mention of another, what they thought of as a lost continent, which is called Lemuria. Have you ever heard of Lemuria?
No.
So back when people didn't really understand like plate tectonics or like continental drift or anything like that, right? Because like we didn't learn about that stuff until super recently. Like we didn't really understand like how the continents moved around and stuff. And for a long time, there was this idea that there was this lost continent called Lemuria that was like in the Indian Ocean. So that would have been like south of India. It doesn't exist. It's never existed. We know now, like we have a better idea now of like how the continents have moved around and stuff. Lemuria did not exist. Atlantis also, by the way... was never supposed to be real. It was fictional. It was like Plato like wrote about it in like fictional stories. It was not supposed to be like a fictional like a factual historical account.
Okay.
But it kind of got taken very seriously. So these sort of like lost continents, i.e. Atlantis, were suggested. So the idea being that lemmings must have at some point in their history lived on this lost continent and now are driven by instinct to try to migrate back to this lost continent, but the continent's not there anymore, so they just swim into the ocean and drown.
Crazy.
Right? Is that not wild?
Surely there was no other animal that they're like saying like, oh, this small rodent also swims across oceans, but to one that hasn't been sunk into the bottom.
Right,
of
like
the
that's
ocean.
the only one. That's
Yeah.
still they did kind of mention some of the oceanic migrations of some like birds that live like in northern Africa, I think.
Okay.
But like this is the only one that's like, killing itself in droves to try to get back to this sunken homeland, I guess.
So what part of this was based on actual observation?
This was based on the author claims that they actually witnessed the lemmings running into the water and like swimming off the coast and then drowning.
Okay.
That's as far as it
now
goes.
is it assumed drowning, or did we find the drowned lemmings?
I mean, I guess I'm guessing assumed drowning.
Okay.
Now here's some of the fact behind it. Here's things that we know lemmings do. What the author was probably witnessing was a mass dispersal.
Okay.
So during these population booms, lemmings can become really, really densely concentrated in one area. They are not social animals. They don't like to be near each other.
Oh.
They don't like each other. They don't get along. They don't want to be close together. So they disperse. And Scandinavia, it's big, but it's not that big, right? Eventually, they're going to run out of places to disperse to.
Yeah.
So, especially because there's a bunch of mountains in the way, they might not be able to disperse in every direction. So sometimes you'll get these pockets of lemmings that get crammed up against the shore of a lake or a river, or in this case, the sea, right?
Yeah.
And if they get so densely concentrated there that they have nowhere else to disperse, they'll try it. They will just try going across the water, because to them, they don't know. There could be land on the other side. Maybe it's a river and we'll get to the other side in a couple hours. Maybe it's a lake, or maybe it's the ocean. I don't know. The lemmings don't know. They're just going to go try to cross the water to see if they can find some land. And sometimes there's not land and they die. But a lot of times they make it, because they're actually really good swimmers.
Okay.
Like they're really, really good. So like most of the time when they cross over water, they make it.
But not transatlantic crossing, of course.
No. That would be crazy. And just another little mention is that this article kind of like offhandedly, there's one sentence. I read this article. There's like one sentence that offhandedly and sort of dismissively mentions like, and they're not poisonous.
What?
Who thought that? They said they are not poisonous as vulgarly reported. By who? Who said that? What are you talking about?
You can eat however many more you want.
That's what he said. He said people eat them all the time.
Oh, okay.
He's like, yeah, people eat them. They're not poisonous.
Whoever's trying to gatekeep these.
Whoever's gatekeeping the lemmings. It's just the fact that like he just offhand was like, and by the way, they're not poisonous.
Yeah. Okay, so two things. One, this dispersal thing, it reminds me of the game Pandemic.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about that a little bit too, yeah.
Where it has that mechanic where like when it eventually reaches a threshold, it just like explodes into like nearby areas. Now, in this case, a lot of them, the nearby area is ocean.
Yeah.
And then two, honestly, humanity has done this too a lot.
Has done what?
Have reached like a point where it's like, there's too many of us here, not enough resources. Let's go see what's out there in that ocean.
It's critical mass, like you just reach a point where you're like, there's too many of us here. We need to go disperse. So that's what's happening. It's a dispersal. It's not that they're like driven to migrate to a specific place. It's that they just need to leave where they are.
Yeah. And a lot of those humans didn't make it.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like the author kind of had this assumption that like they must be driven by instinct to go to a specific place.
Right.
But that's not what's happening. They don't care where they're going. They just need to leave. They're just trying to get out, away. But that is where this association between lemmings and mass suicide begins.
Got it.
This article, because it's, popular science, this is a major publication at the time. This is where people start to get the idea that lemmings are in mass running into the sea at their doom.
Mm-hmm.
So now we must fast forward once more to 1958.
Okay.
Filmmakers for the Walt Disney Company are working on a documentary called White Wilderness. This movie famously now features a scene where lemmings are driven as if by hypnosis, like they're under a spell, to run off of the edge of a cliff. This is what you were talking about earlier. The idea that they run off of cliffs and die. So in the scene from the movie, the lemmings run off of the edge of the cliff, and the narrator says, this is a quote, "A kind of compulsion seizes each tiny rodent, and carried along by an unreasoning hysteria, each falls into step for a march that will take them to a strange destiny. And then the lemmings run right off the edge of the cliff, where they then fall down onto the rocks and waters below."
Oh.
And that is shown. Like, you see in the movie, the lemmings bouncing off of rocks on their way down this cliff. It's horrific. Yeah. It's really, really gruesome. And this kind of becomes the pop culture image of lemmings, that they, it's introducing a couple of ideas. One is that they are like compulsively running off of the edge. The other is that they're following each other. The other is that they're doing this collectively as a sort of like, this is like a herd of lemmings that's like being driven off the cliff in droves, not realizing that there's danger at the bottom. So let's run it back a little bit. Yeah. Let's rewind, see what happened here. Let's look behind the scenes. Imagine that you are a filmmaker hired by Disney to make a documentary. You've heard, probably originating from this Popular Science article, you've heard stories about lemmings running into the Arctic Ocean at their own peril, and you want to capture it on camera for the movie because that sounds like a really interesting phenomenon to catch on camera. Now, there's only a few problems. One is that you are filming in Alberta, Canada. Okay. Which is landlocked and also thousands of miles away from Norway, where those lemmings are found. Okay. Canada does have lemmings. They are not those lemmings, though. They don't do the same things. Okay. Like, all those reports are from Norway lemmings. So you're in Alberta, which has the wrong types of lemmings and is landlocked. Yeah. So there's not really any ocean around for them to run into. The other problem is that even in Norway, lemmings do not do what you're trying to film them doing. They just don't do that.
I was going to say, like, they would at least make it to the water.
Yeah, like they would like go down a slope, like onto a beach or something. They wouldn't like run off the side of a cliff. They would like run into
the way I was imagining the cliff, though, was like a cliff that drops directly into water, right? Where there's no chance of hitting anything but water.
I guess
that would make sense to me.
It would.
Because they're little.
Yeah. And in this clip, that's like there's rocks below, but the rocks lead into the water. It is over a body of water. Okay. But there is a lot of rocks below. It is treacherous. It is a treacherous cliff. So that's a couple problems. You're in the wrong place. You don't have the right lemmings. Lemmings just don't do the thing you're trying to get them to do, but you really want to show them doing it in the movie. Okay. What do?
Stage it.
Exactly. So if you are cinematographer James R. Simon, you buy a few dozen live lemmings from Inuit children in Manitoba, which is 2 provinces over from Alberta, for reportedly 25 cents each.
And still the wrong lemmings.
Still the wrong lemmings. These are brown lemmings, not Norway lemmings. They are lemmings found in Canada. They are the wrong lemmings, but you do buy them anyway. Okay. Buy them off of a bunch of kids, neighborhood kids, basically, that are, I guess, selling lemmings. I'm not going to investigate that.
It was probably more of a, hey, kids, go catch some lemmings. I'll give you a nickel for them.
That's true. Yeah. Like, hey, I'll give you $0.25 a pop if you round up a bunch of lemmings for me. And they're like, sure, mister. So then you transport them across multiple provinces to the filming location, which is at the Bow River in Alberta, Canada. So this is a river. It is not the ocean, but that doesn't matter. You will use camera tricks to only film from angles where you cannot see the other side of the river. So it looks like an ocean, but it is really just a river. Then when you find that the lemmings refuse to run off of the cliff, because why would they? Because that would be crazy. Right. When you find that the lemmings don't really want to run off of the cliff, then you build a rotating turntable that you brush snow on top of to hide the turntable in the snow, pile the lemmings up on the turntable, and then rotate them towards the edge of the cliff while pushing them off to give the appearance that they are moving towards the cliff, even though really they're just on a turntable that you're rotating them towards. And then you edit the footage so that it looks like the lemmings are running off of the cliff themselves, where even in the finished product, if you kind of like look closely at the lemmings you can see that they're trying not to go over the edge.
Right.
They're trying to back up. Like you can see that like their feet are splayed out. Like they're trying to like put the brakes on.
Yeah.
They don't want to go over. And you can see the filmmakers like nudging them, and like you can see that they're being pushed.
Yikes.
But like, I guess if you're watching it, you know, and you have no other context and you don't know that this is all being like staged and manufactured, it looks real enough, I guess.
Right.
Clever editing tricks. So the movie went on to win the Oscar that year.
Wow.
And it wasn't until 1982 that a CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Company, a documentary series called The Fifth Estate investigated the filming practices in White Wilderness and put them on blast and like national news coverage for lying about and horrifically mistreating the animals used in the movie. Now, to this day, the Walt Disney Company claims that the cinematographer was just a freelancer and that he acted, quote, without the knowledge or approval of Walt Disney and the studio. Which, okay, sure.
I guess Walt himself would have been around still at the time.
He would have been, and he probably... I'm just going to say it. I bet he knew exactly what was going on and did not care. You know, like, they probably swapped stories about it. Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like I have no loyalty. I don't care. Yeah, so the Disney company claims they didn't know.
Sure.
But did you really? Did you really? But the success and the popularity of the movie both cemented this idea of lemmings committing mass suicide and also introduced this sort of new component of like mindlessly following each other, right? That's a part of it too, right? That like there's this idea that lemmings all just like follow the herd and just go with the flow and just go with each other, even to like their own peril. Which they don't at all. They hate each other.
Yeah.
They are not social at all. Like, they don't want any... They are trying... The reason that they're moving in the first place is to get away from each other.
Yeah.
Like, they're the opposite of that.
Huh.
But that is how they're usually shown now, like in political cartoons or like, you know, in comics or whatever it is. Like if there's lemmings, they're probably being used to illustrate. They're like a symbol of like conformity or like mindless followership.
Yeah. Or even as like a phrase or as like an insult.
Right.
Like.
Yeah. It's like sheeple or something like that. You know, like it's like, oh, you're all a bunch of lemmings because like you're not thinking critically and you're just doing whatever other people are doing. Which is extremely ironic because that in itself is just going off of what other people tell you about lemmings without learning any more about them. So like people who use lemmings in that way themselves are kind of just going along with what everybody else is doing, you know?
Now I'm going to search for an opportunity to use it as a correct insult.
For meaning you're extremely mean and annoying and way too small to be acting like that.
No, I meant more like like you're being tricked into appearing like you're throwing yourself off a cliff.
Oh,
or
being
something.
staged, you're being framed.
Right.
There's also, just as like a little bonus myth, there's like this little folk myth, I guess. I think this is like local to Scandinavia because I was looking around to see if this is an actual folk myth that people say. And I did find a blog post from a Norwegian writer saying that this was something that she like grew up hearing. The idea that lemmings explode.
Explode?
Yeah, that they like explode.
Okay.
They don't explode.
Okay.
They don't. Maybe this is like to do with how angry they get, right? They're like so full of rage that maybe they just get so mad that they just like
some Looney Tunes.
Yeah, it's Looney Tunes behavior. But that contributed to the 1991 puzzle strategy video game Lemmings. This was like a PC game in like the early 90s where you had to like guide a line of lemmings through like a platformer level with like obstacles and stuff. Okay. And then you had to do it before the timer ran out. And if you didn't do it before the timer ran out, all the lemmings would explode.
Wow.
Which like doesn't make any sense until you know that that's like a folk thing, that like this idea that like association with lemmings and exploding.
Is there any like reasoning behind the folk
tale?
No.
I mean, it's that. I think it's just that they're so mad and angry all the time that they just like the idea is that they get so mad that they just pop.
Huh.
hilarious to me. So what have we learned? We've learned they don't run off of cliffs. They don't intentionally drown themselves in the sea. They're not poisonous. They don't explode. They are from the earth. They don't generate in the sky.
Full of rodent.
Full of what?
Full of rodent. Their insides are rodent insides.
Yeah, check. Contents rodent. So that's all the fact checking that I got.
Interesting.
Isn't it literally an L at every possible opportunity for humans? Like, I don't know how we got this wrong so many consecutive times.
It just makes me wonder. Like, if we didn't do that to lemmings, what would we have done that to?
Right. Like, what other animal would we have just like totally manufactured false narratives about that like persist to this day?
Yeah.
Like the fact that that's what you thought, that was like the only thing you knew about lemmings.
And that's even like as like I had never seen the film. Like this is other stuff that references that.
Right. Yeah. Like it just like becomes so saturated in like our pop culture imagery that like that becomes a thing that you just never think to interrogate really. Like if it never comes up, you never think, oh, I should check to see if lemmings actually do that. Like if it never comes up, you never think to look into it. Right. But once you do, you're like, oh, this goes so much deeper than I thought it would.
So much so, I would not be able to point out a lemming in a lineup of various rodents.
I just realized I have not showed you a picture of a Norway lemming the entire time we've been talking.
I'm hoping my mental image lines up okay with
We'll see. Here you go.
Oh, okay, close.
What do you think? How does it differ from what you expected?
Mine was closer to guinea pig, but yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, I can see guinea pig a little. Okay, here's a more representative picture.
Oh,
this one is screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very angry, but they got little chubby cheeks. They're really cute. But you see what I mean about they have these kind of like bold, like very conspicuous markings on their back. Yeah. Like they're very easy to see, especially against the snow. You would be hard pressed to miss that guy.
Yeah.
So I do want to wrap up by talking about conservation and like ecology for lemmings because they are of least concern. But in 2012, Professor Nils Christian Stenseth from the University of Oslo said in an interview with The Naked Scientist that there had been a steep drop-off of lemming years since the 90s. So he said, this is a quote, "It used to be that when snow came in this part of the world, it was cold, so it came down dry and soft, so that a small space could build up between the ground and the snow. And within that space, lemmings could survive very well, and they reproduced and built up a population that was high in the spring and couldn't continue to be high if it didn't crash during the summer. But in the mid-90s, all this was gone, and what we found in this paper published in Nature was that the snow had changed from being soft and dry to being wet. Hence, the lemmings could not build up. So the idea here is that the type of snow matters. That lemmings like to burrow and make their dens and raise their babies in this really soft, fluffy snow that they can easily tunnel and dig through. But that type of snow only happens when it's really, really cold.
Yeah.
Right? We've talked about this before, right? How like the temperature affects the type of snow.
Which I have firsthand experience with. Like when it gets really cold, snow starts to feel like sand.
Oh. We've got some nice like fluffy powdery snow here. But yeah, when it's too warm, if it snows and it's not quite cold enough for that fluffy snow, then it's just going to be wet, slushy, gross, kind of snow. So the idea was that because we have been getting warmer and warmer and warmer temperatures, we're not regularly getting that soft, fluffy snow that lemmings need to burrow in. So we're not getting those lemming years as regularly as we once did. So that is just one way that climate change is messing with lemmings in an unexpected way. And this is also really like ecologically important because lemmings play a huge role in the ecology of where they live. So they're obviously an abundant source of prey for predators in the area. So they're going to be a great source of food for things like foxes and owls, birds of prey. You're not going to get a lot of reptiles up there, but you'll get wolves, stuff like that.
Yeah, I was going to ask, I'm not familiar with what the larger carnivores are in that.
It would probably be foxes and wolves, I would imagine. Lynxes, maybe. But also, they graze back vegetation to make room for new growth, like I talked about earlier, right? They're eating so much vegetation that they're making a lot of room for new plants to grow through. And Science Norway reported that when those masses of lemmings then die, the decomposition of their bodies is actually a really great source of nutrients for things like flies, which then germinate mosses. So after these lemming peaks, after those lemmings start to die off, you see moss peaks because of the decomposition of the bodies of the lemmings. So like even in death, they're like enriching the land.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because when you were describing them swimming out to the ocean, potentially drowning there and dying, it made me think of kind of like the reverse of what salmon do.
Oh, yeah.
And how like them ultimately dying in the fresh waterways brings a lot of nutrients into those areas that would not be there otherwise.
Right.
So,
although I think in the marine environment, you're not hard pressed for nutrients, right? Like, although I don't know, maybe you need some of the phosphorus or nitrogen or something that like would otherwise be trapped in the land.
A nice snack for the sea creatures.
Yeah, for something big. Although, because I don't think that they're actually dispersing into the water that frequently.
Sure.
So I don't think they do that with enough frequency to like be an ecological like regular factor. But in Scandinavia, they are really, really important to the ecology there. Yeah. So that's lemmings. Hopefully you know more now than you did before at the start of this, which I would say effectively nothing.
Yeah, because a single wrong thing.
Like, the things that the vast majority of people know, if you know anything about lemmings, you don't. Like,
no in between.
Yeah. So that's lemmings. If some of this sounds familiar to some people who listen to other stuff that I'm on, a lot of these notes were repurposed from a segment I did on Let's Learn Everything a few years ago. But that was like a smaller segment. I went into way more detail on this. So there was like a lot of new stuff on here. But yeah, this is one of those things that's like it's like if someone brings up lemmings around me, I have to like read the room real quick to be like, do I follow up on this? Or like, do we have time?
It's that meme of a person standing off to the side in a party. They don't know about lemmings.
I just stand there waiting, just wishing somebody would ask me about lemmings. It was like once I get started, it's so hard to stop because I'm like, let me tell you about Ole Worm. So that's lemmings. Thank you, Christian, for hanging out with me and talking about lemmings with me.
Anytime.
And thank you, listener, for spending this time with us. It means the world to us. If you liked what you heard, please leave behind some good words for us in a review on your podcast app of choice. Like, we've got a bunch of new ones recently. That's so nice. Stevie H, who writes, I found this podcast on accident, and boy, am I glad I did. The hosts are funny and give life to educational information. I'm wholly enjoying my time listening to it. And just because we've got a few recently, Wings of Fire Lover 965 writes, I'm so glad I can learn about animals and laugh about animals at the same time. So, I had a lot of fun today. I hope you guys did too.
Yes.
Live, laugh, loved. If you want to come hang out with us online, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, Blue Sky. Links will be in the episode description. If you want to come learn how you can be a part of supporting our show and get access to our monthly bonus episodes, head over to MaximumFun.org. And finally, we'd like to thank Louis Zong for our theme music.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh,
meow.
Or Mike's probably didn't pick that up, but the cat just meowed.
Aki also says thank you.
Aki says thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Maximum Fun, a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported
directly
by you.